Hello and welcome to the Fabulous at 50 podcast, celebrating a vibrant global community of women over 50 through entertaining interviews that will inspire, educate, and empower. Your host, Joanne Neweduk, was born to nurture and promote vibrance. Joanne is both the Community Director for Calgary, Canada, and oversees the global operations for Fabulous at 50. As an oncology nurse, integrative practitioner in multiple modalities, life skills mentor, and manager, Joanne moves people from challenging situations to positive outcomes through the use of her innate gifts and learned skills. Here's your host, Joanne Neweduk.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's episode. It is going to be a fantastic one. I have an amazing guest, and our topic today is about more love and sex. I am so excited to bring to you my dear friend and the first speaker I hired to speak at the Fabulous at 50 launch for Calgary, Alberta, over 5 years ago now. Holy smokes, Eileen, that's amazing. Eileen Head has been called the relationship whisperer. She is a transformational personality pattern coach, author, and speaker. Couples and singles alike hire her to translate their personality traits so they can find or reconnect to deeply intimate, meaningful relationships, something we all desire and deserve. She is passionate about helping you get more love and sex. Welcome to the show, Eileen.
Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Yes, indeed. And I probably shouldn't give behind the scene tips away, but I just have to share this because I'm all about being real and authentic. All of the Fabulous at 50 podcasts are just real conversations with women that I admire. Sometimes I'm friends with, sometimes I'm just meeting for the first time. And occasionally technicalities happen. And we've had a couple doozies here today. But what's so important is that we have not let them rattle us. We have taken a deep breath, just like everything in life, and we have a choice. We can either get really upset or we can say, hey, do you have a few more minutes? Let's go again and let's have our conversation again and see what comes up this time, or let's re-engage. So Eileen, thank you so much for having that type of energy and being on our show today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Well, before we actually get started, I would love you to share with everyone how they can be in touch with you, because I know some of my listeners literally start typing in a website so they can bring up who it is as the guest and learn more about them and what they're talking about. So if someone wants to reach you, what's your website?
My website is eileenhead.com, and there's lots of resources for you on there. A free call, whatever's going on, pop on a call. There's no pressure. Let's see where you are and what resources I have. There's a free personality test, lots of programs for you.
Fantastic. And that's what you're all about, personality. But I know that you came to helping people with their love and their sex lives and their relationships in general through studying about personalities, but there's more of a personal story behind that. And of course, you know that I always like to dig into what has shifted in your life after 50. What did you not expect that shifted in your life? Can you share a little bit about that for us?
Well, I didn't expect to divorce after 35 years. However, it was a relationship that was very stressful. Same values, same goals, same morals. And yet we just could not find the answer to connect. It was unemotional, and whatever resources I found just didn't work for us. And I'd see couples that were so comfortable with each other. And I think, what's the secret? There has to be a secret. And as a woman, what is it that I'm doing wrong? It, we take it to ourselves, right? And so after 35 years, I was dying inside. I felt out of integrity staying with a man who I no longer loved. I wanted him to move on as well, to possibly find a new relationship. and the stress, there was medical things that were starting to show up. And so, the universe was saying, you better do something about this.
That is a huge, huge step. After 35 years and you were after 50, you were already into your 50s. That is a massive step. So I would say that's very daring. I mean, you really stepped into a whole new life and you wanted to learn more about yourself. Can you share a bit about what process, because I know you to be a confident and successful, happy woman that just exudes like life energy. That's not the woman that first left that marriage. What's happened to transform you?
When you talked about that life force energy, it got so that I had difficulty walking into the house. My energy, it was just like, it was like I didn't have enough energy to sustain life. And, I was being called on to move on. And, if you're unable to put it together, then you need to do a step to change the pattern, right? And so I stepped out of the marriage. I asked for a 6 months separation, but that never came about. And but it gave him an opportunity to make choices and work with me or not. And he chose not to, unfortunately. And so I moved on and created a life where I thrive in, as you know, and a life that I absolutely love. And I want women to know that you don't need to leave the marriage. There are ways of reconnecting and regenerating and rejuvenating a marriage.
Right. And that's what you're specialized in now, right? That's what when you found more meaning about yourself, it was that you were tapping into a program that teaches about different personality traits.
I use the Enneagram, which is a scientific model of human behavior. And it's very specific. If you're this personality, these are your traits. This is what you value. This is how you feel loved. This is your intimacy style. This is your core emotional need, your leadership style, all of those. And so when you put those together in a couple dynamics, you have a lot of information, instead of trying to figure out, like, why is she acting like that now? For the fellow, it's very specific. Or for the woman, like, what's he thinking? Well, he may not even be thinking, but this is how his patterns are. Right?
So true. We're projecting what we think they're thinking.
Yeah, they're not. But it takes the stress away and helps you figure out what makes each other tick. And more than that, how to create connected, conscious, loving relationships together where both of you thrive and feel beautiful and appreciated.
Right. Now, has that led you into more loving relationships nowadays? I'm doing a leading question here. I have a little bit of an inside scoop on you.
Yeah, so I'm 69, and I was reading novels that were very sexual, and I thought there was a sadness in me that I'm never going to experience that. I'm never going to experience the fun, exciting sex like that. And so I decided I was going to manifest this in. And I was reading this, my sexual energy hyped up, and this man came in. And what he did for me was he praised my body authentically. And for most of us, I think we all have body issues, right? But he made me feel comfortable. I trusted him, and it opened me up. A part of me that I never knew was there, that I never thought I would experience, the sexual, the playfulness, the sensual part, and the feeling of that energy is amazing when you experience that. And so no matter what age we're at, it is possible. It is possible. And it's possible to, but I wanted to experience it. So I stepped into it.
That is beautiful and very, shall I say, daring. It goes against the grain of what is predominantly out there in the world, where there is a bit of an ageism around sex, that we're breaking the boundaries as far as what people, over 50 and over 60 are doing as far as their jobs and careers. We now have a term, the encore career. You might have had a different job and then you retire or semi-retire and go into something else. But I still think there's a mindset around after 50 or once women hit menopause or after that the desire is gone. Sometimes in cultures, it's just expected that, sex and intimacy is just for making babies, but we are sensual beings.
I believe life has gotten mundane. I believe it's gotten flat. I believe relationships disconnect, resentments build up, and then you've got these barriers between you. And what a woman wants is to feel desired. She wants to be desired, and men can give that to her, although she needs to be ready to receive it and to work on her issues.
Exactly. We were talking about that earlier, and my point was that when we often give to the point of depletion, but we need to be willing to receive. It's not, I hate the term give and take. It's not about giving and taking, it's giving and receiving. And so you were talking about the man can show how much, or the partner, let's say partner, whether it is, male, female or not, but one partner can show the desire for the other, but the one receiving needs to be open to receiving. Because if we get kind of like, oh no, and super bashful, which we often are, depending on the circumstances of where we come from. But if we can get past that, if we can heal from past hurts and get to the point where we receive, then that coming together and the magic you talked about can happen. Yeah. But I can definitely see where one person is like, I desire you. And it's like, how can you possibly? I have this wrinkle here and this glob of fat over here. And, I can imagine this is circumstances, but it also goes into our personalities and how we relate to each other.
Yeah, for sure. And it's, the blocks we set up and I believe there's a lot of women out there in that's what I find about women over 50 is you start to feel their energy of dissatisfaction.
Interesting.
It's like a low, and it's because, they haven't gotten that fairy tale life that they wanted. And life can be serious and it can be mundane, but it can come back together and it can rejuvenate and thrive. You need to do the work together. And sometimes women stop that because they say, well, my husband won't come. I have worked with women who've absolutely turned around their relationship in a very short period of time. They've come and said, okay, it's about me now. I'm going to work on me. And the relationship, they came back and say, I never believed it was possible. He's doing this and he's doing that. He was never at a session. He started to follow her lead.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be that. Do you have an example of that? Because it can be very daunting when we get in, shall we say, the second half of our life, thinking, like you did a very brave thing, leaving your marriage. And some people might say, well, that was a crazy thing, but you are in a happier, healthier space now. Yeah. But you're giving some, shall we say, hope to people that you don't always have to leave to find that.
You don't.
Can you give an example of somebody when they came in and what was going on?
There was a gal who came to me. I do Should I Stay or Should I Go coaching. And my 3 goals before are always rejuvenate, regenerate, reconnect if possible. And so she said, no, I'm done. He's controlling. I'm going to leave. And I said, well, okay, well, let's do some work first on you, because if you're going to leave, you want to do it in a healthy way, right? And so I did some work with her. And then she said, well, my husband wants to tell his version of this. And so he came in and he told his version. He said, all I'm trying to do is help her. And she's saying he's controlling. He's used to running crews and things. So he's very
he's being Mr. Fix-It. He was being very helpful because he knows how to fix the situation.
And so, he's an assertive personality, so strong and direct, and she's a supporter, so soft and caring. And so I taught them about their personalities and what they needed to feel loved. And I got this phone call from her after about session 4, and she goes, what did you do to my husband?
Uh-oh.
Never want a conversation to start like that. She said, he's so nice to me. He's so sweet to me. He needed to learn how he was impacting her, and she needed to learn. And I said to her, what he wants is for you to say directly what it is you need and want. And she looked at him and she says, won't you get mad? He goes, no, that's what I want you to do. Things like that. I interpret and translate personality traits together in couple dynamics. So you understand how each other feels loved and reacts and thinks and feels and loves and appreciates.
Mm-hmm. That makes total sense. And to swing it back to the intimacy that we were talking about before, is in that given situation, I can only imagine that before, when she was on the ready to leave, that there wasn't a lot of intimacy going on.
Oh, I'm sure.
And then afterwards, her coming out going, he's so nice and he's so helpful, then that opens the window for them to have, more intimate connections. And we've said this before, that we are beings that crave and want to share, give and receive love and desire. That is part of our human condition.
And what happens with women is they deplete themselves and they do shut down sex. And then the man doesn't know what to do or how to change the situation. They shut it down, and then the relationship, disconnects from there. And there is a way, appreciation is the magic, but there is a way, if you're open to it, women, you can have, and these partners that have been unemotionally disconnected, that men, I coach men as well, and they are confused. They come and they go, I don't know what she wants. She won't tell me what she wants. If she tells me, I don't do it the right way. They really are, they're willing, but their ego is also taking a big hit if they are rejected.
Yeah. Interesting. It's what came into my mind there is, of course, my nursing side wants to get in on this. And when we talk about whether it's women or men, because I know men sometimes shut off if there is, and stress is a huge part of this. So if it's stress in the relationship or stress in the life, is the same. It's like having a pantry of hormones in our bodies. So those are ingredients, and a lot of the same, ingredients to support us in our stress response are the same ingredients to our sexual responses. Mm-hmm. And if we are chronic and overstressed, then we deplete our resources. Is just one way to put it on there. And it reduces the libido. And then, of course, it can then be, and if we start projecting like they're not wanting me when really they're just too stressed themselves, like it becomes this really complex interaction. But I know, I'm just going to throw it out there. I know that my partner, we've been together for over 8 years. We met online, and he's a widow. I was divorced, and we came together. And I just want to illustrate, this feels like an incredible, loving, solid relationship. And to bring up points that you mentioned is that appreciation. I don't think a single day passes where we don't show some sort of appreciation for each other. Yeah. Or if we're not getting along in a given day, I recognize that might be missing. And I also recognize that when we come together and we are more intimate, and I'm using the word intimate on purpose. Sometimes that means sexual relationships. Sometimes it just means sitting on the couch and holding hands, but having that closeness where the rest of the world can fall away. I believe that, when people have regular intimate connections, that it makes some of the other stresses in life melt away. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. Because when you have a partner who gets you and understands you and accepts you, even when you're out of balance and over the top, or you've got triggers going on, when they understand what those are and support you through that, like, I say, support us through our crazies. Is that's loving. That is a conscious, connected relationship.
Absolutely. And that's what, say that again, a conscious, connected relationship.
You need to be conscious. You need to be aware.
It has to be on a conscious level.
For yourself and for them, what they need, right? What you both need.
as opposed to just going through the motions. This is the way it's always been, stepping through that way. That's the type of thing that you want to be connecting and creating. Fantastic. Now we're getting close to the end of our talk, and I would love if you could share 3 sort of concrete, definite pearls of wisdom that you would like to recommend to the listening audience today.
Yeah, my first one is, if you choose, there is an inner vixen in you. And there is a way for you to feel sensual and sexual and playful that you never knew existed. I didn't know. And I never believed that I would get that. The second point is, I was reading those books that brought this all about. And I heard a marriage therapist say, women should read 30 minutes of erotica every day. Can you imagine? That would spice things up. And I was reading Sylvia Day, and it was the Crossfire series. Now, she writes different genres, but this was about, and it was a good storyline. There were 5 books in this, and I really enjoyed it.
Interesting. Okay.
And the third one is, happiness is an inside job. And I truly believe until you understand your Enneagram and yourself and how you feel loved, that is the juice. When you have that, you have a foundation for anything. And I highly recommend that. I'll help you with that.
Mm-hmm.
I have many tools and resources, couples programs and singles programs. And I'm going to run my 5-day Spice It Up relationship challenge again shortly, I think, because that was fun.
Absolutely. So inner vixen, embrace your inner vixen. Number 1. Number 2, you're suggesting. So whether it's welcome to it, half an hour, or even, I always like to start where people are. If you're reading, fantastic. If you're not reading and you've never really read that, then even just start off by reading something and just see whether it wakes something inside of you, if that's what I'm hearing from you.
Work your way into it. For me, it was like, boom, but work your way into it. And, I would say, don't all of a sudden, change your whole pattern. Your husband's going, what the heck is this? You're going to need to do this with some awareness.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. So that, or engage your partner in that. But basically what I'm hearing is that allow yourself to feel those desires. Like, and when you said happiness is an inside job, definitely in alignment with what we do with Fab at 50, it's really about getting yourself ready. I believe that we can't sit back and wait for our partner, whoever they are, to fulfill us. Now we will have fulfilling, like it's one of those things that we need to fill ourselves up first. And then when you come together, what you're getting is that amazing overflow.
Yeah.
Right. With that.
You can create the love that you desire and thrive, no matter what's going on in your life, if you choose to. It's mindset, it's patterns, and it's choices. And it's working with those old beliefs and kicking them out the door. And
it's true. It's true. Yeah. We were talking about the choices before, that the work you do, the work I do, the work that I know so many other people do, it's about making a choice. And when we make a conscious choice, there's the word conscious again, when we make a decision, I can do this or I could do this, like there's probably even more than that. But if you get it down to 2 main choices and you make a choice, the energy around what you're doing is so different than I'm just doing this by default.
It's a huge shift, not only in your mind, but in the chemistry of your body.
Absolutely.
It really is a shift, choices. You asked me before, did you ever believe you would be doing this in your life? I never believed that I would write a book, create manuals, programs, speak, experiences. That was a choice.
It was a choice.
And I envisioned it, and I believe I manifested that manual.
That's fantastic. And it's so, for the listening audience out there, there's no wonder why Eileen, aligns so well with this, Fabulous at 50. I always say Fabulous at 50 and beyond, that, we're picking a number, but it's somewhere in our midlife where we really shift and we make a choice. It's either same old, or it's like, I am going to co-create my destination. And we all are about inspiring. And I do find you inspiring, Eileen. And it's about educating. And I can imagine that today's conversation is educating people. And I know that you educate on a specific tool that you like, so that people can understand themselves and other people better. And it's also about empowering. It's about saying, if you need support, we can help you get there. And being part of the Fabulous 50 community is something I know you've been passionate about over the years. And I love it because you can bring knowledge to us, and we love having you just part of our group of women that are out there to support each other and to say, how can we keep making our lives better and better so that we can give from our overflow and naturally support those that are around us. It's never about doing it in a selfish way. It's always about, I deserve this as well. And when I'm glowing, I can help other people glow. So Eileen, thank you so much for being on today's show. And I look forward to many, many more conversations in the future.
Thank you so much, Joanne.
Awesome. Goodbye, everybody. Have a wonderful day.
More love and sex.
Thanks for joining us today. You've been listening to the Fabulous at 50 podcast with your host, Joanne Neweduk. Join us again for more inspirational interviews on topics that matter to you. If you like what you've heard on today's episode, check out the liner notes, or to learn more about this vibrant community that celebrates women over 50, please visit fabulousat50.com. That's www.fabulousat50.com.